Hello, and welcome back to episode 3 of Our Town, Our Take, featuring Sarah Haring.
For this episode, we're going to get started with President's Day weekend at Green High School. We have a 4-day weekend, so we have Friday and Monday off, and Monday to celebrate President's Day, obviously. So does anyone have any plans for this long weekend coming up?
I'm going down to Columbus to visit my sister with my mom and my cousins, so that'll be exciting.
Nice. Sydney?
Getting some extra sleep for sure. That's
Yeah,
really
same.
Nice.
I'm going to Michigan to visit my sister, so that'll be fun.
Lots of college plans. Well, also that week, Paw Print Issue 7 is releasing. So in this issue, we're celebrating Black History Month. We're also spotlighting students at our school that speak multiple languages, so a bilingual moment, because we have a couple foreign exchange students, and then we also have some students of immigrants who speak another language at home. So that's what our center spread is supposed to be. And then that issue releases February 24th.
That'll be interesting.
It sure will be. I can't
Sure
wait
will
to
be.
read it myself.
I think it's really cool that you're highlighting kids that are bilingual, you know?
Thank you.
Are you also going to highlight kids that have received the seal of biliteracy?
Yes, that's going to be a sidebar. As a seal of biliteracy recipient myself, of course I'm going to put myself on the newspaper. But besides that, we're also doing an article on the CBE program at our school, which is the students that work jobs. So they go to school for the first 4 periods, and they learn about business characteristics and how to be a good employee. And so we're spotlighting the teacher, Mrs. Rensel, and then one CBE student.
It'll be exciting to read.
Yes,
Thank you.
I can't wait.
Prom is also getting under the works and planned. That is for May 28th.
20th, yeah.
Yes, so for prom, the juniors of Student Council plan prom every year. Last year, since I was a junior in Student Council, we planned prom, and that includes picking the theme and what dinner you want to choose and what dessert you want to choose. So we are all seniors, so we will have to see what the juniors choose. But last year we did a Midnight Garden theme. I created it, of course, and then we make T-shirts with it, and we make an Instagram post. So they should be getting that going soon. I know Mrs. Keplinger, the student council advisor, likes to start that as early as she can. So everyone's very excited for prom this year.
Prom was gorgeous last year, so I hope they
Prom
can.
really
It
was.
looked
You did a
really
good job.
nice.
I hope it
Very
looks
good.
just as good.
We'll see. I hope so as well.
I just got my prom dress, so
Oh, congratulations.
thank you.
Just a couple months ahead.
Us 3 usually rent tux, so it's only a couple weeks before.
Yeah.
This is the earliest I've ever gotten it, so.
Like a month at the
And-
most, I'll rent it.
Yeah.
But like,
Okay, so we're going to take a break now, and we will be back with Sarah Haring. Thank you.
Welcome back. We're here with Miss Sarah Haring, the Community Development Administrator. Sarah, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I have worked for the city for 23 years, and I actually started in the plan. I've always been in the planning department, but I started as the planning director secretary, and have held a lot of different positions in the planning department, and just really find the whole process of government really fascinating. I also oversee historic preservation for the city. I do a lot of grant writing. I administer our minor home repair program, and I feel like there's something else I'm forgetting. Oh, Living Green Task Force. Yeah.
And then I know a major part of your job is handling the Student Municipal Program, a program that all 4 of us are part of and love dearly. I know that applications are finalizing, and they are due March 1st. You want to tell us a little about that?
Absolutely. So applications went live February 1st, and the application period is open until March 1st. Go on the city's website, find the student municipal page, and you'll find the link to the online application. There are a couple things that are required to submit. You need a photo. You need to write an essay, which really just is, why do you want to be part of this program? Who are you? What are your interests? What do you do for volunteer activities? You need a letter of reference. Just one will do, a teacher, somebody in the community that knows you well. And we also ask you to rank your choices. So there are 10 boards, commissions, committees that you can be part of. We ask you to rank them from number 1 being your first choice all the way down. If you don't know, just put a number in there. The interview process will make it more clear where we think you should be. Does that help?
It does. I know in my experience with the Student Municipal Program, my first year I was on the Parks and Recreation Board, and that was my first choice. So I was happy to be placed on that board, and I had a great time. I've said this in the past, but I didn't realize how much went into the parks, and those people up on the board, they really take their job seriously, and that's good to see people that care in our community. So,
I think that was one of the major impetus for me to start this program. So you think about the people who are on the Parks Board, they take it very seriously, but they don't go to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and conversely, they don't go to the Design Review Board. So there are so many moving parts and pieces, and I think it's just really valuable for you to get exposed to the processes. So when you think about being in government, it's not about being a politician. It's about being an engineer or an architect or an environmentalist, or there's just so many ways to be involved, but you don't know that until you're exposed to it.
Yeah, I don't feel like you can really go wrong with any board you're on. My first year I was on Design and Review, and now I'm on Planning and Zoning, and I think it's really cool to see like it go from Design and Review to Planning and Zoning and see the whole process just like kind of occur, and see some projects that we saw on Design and Review make it to Planning and Zoning, and then eventually see them in the city. So I just think it's a really cool like full circle thing.
When you see a building built that you saw be reviewed, it's like, that's my building. I was part of that. I know. I know. I feel like that too.
I think what's really great about this program is that it's a 4-year program. So like throughout high school, you get to try out different committees and different boards. Because I know freshman and sophomore year, I was on the diversity board, and that was great because I got to see like the interactions between people and like how we can improve diversity and make our community more inclusive. Junior year, I joined the drug task force to get a bit exposure to like another side of the municipal government, and that actually opened up the opportunity for us to do a project, and that was with the mindfulness walk, and I loved how I was able to work on a mental health aspect of the community and also a diversity aspect of the community. And now, obviously, senior year, I'm on Mayor's Junior Council and City Council. City Council is just a great way to see how laws are made and decided upon. So I think that's a really great opportunity for juniors that are reapplying for the program this year, because City Council it's an experience, I will tell you, that you just have to go through.
And so it's interesting that you mention that, because when you rank the boards and commissions in your application, you won't see City Council as an option. And the reason for that is we want students to participate at least 1 year in a different board or commission. So if all you ever did to be exposed to government processes is to go to City Council, it's a great experience, but it's a pretty narrow slice of the pie. I'm sorry, City Council, if you're listening to this. I mean, what they do is major, but there's a lot of things that happen before a project gets to that point. So we usually reach out to students to say, are you interested in being on City Council? Because it's a much bigger time commitment too.
I think my biggest thing with being in the program was definitely interacting with community and city members that I never would have met, like the mayor and City Council itself, and people that were on board and zoning appeal, which was my first year, my junior year, and then Miss Sarah Haring, of course.
Of course.
But I think it's a great program, and I think everyone should give it a try. I think local government is so important, but also very overlooked.
Even if you're not like big into government, it's still really important, I feel like, to be a part of the program.
Yeah, it's definitely a level of government that I truly do see happening in front of my eyes sometimes with like the federal government. Like that's mainly what my government class is about, but I don't always see those changes actually happening. And through this program I have. So I know I wrote my essay my first year applying about I didn't really know how the local government worked really. And an update, I do now. Like I really did learn, and it is an interesting process. So I would recommend as well.
Yeah. So I want to tag on to your comment. That's also my favorite part. As someone who works for the city, I remember sitting on Design Review Board, Planning and Zoning Commission as the secretary. You can't talk when you're the secretary. It's really hard for me. And but watching them interact with the public, sometimes the meetings were pretty fraught. Can you imagine? I mean, it happens. And they were always so gracious, but so careful to apply the right regulations and the right design guidelines. They just were really careful about their work. And I thought, wow, these are people that I want to get to know better. And so also my favorite part. And a story about government, I remember hearing from a legislative aide for, who's the astronaut from Ohio? John Glenn, thank you. So anyway, he was a legislative aide for John Glenn, and he put through a piece of legislation for him that is still going through the process. And we know, John Glenn has gone on to greater things. In local government, things happen at a slow pace, but things happen, right? So yeah, it's a very different dynamic, different pace. Well, I'm glad you guys love the program. We love having you too.
Yeah, I really appreciate all the opportunities we've gotten and just the different things we've gotten to be a part of being on within the program. So
I'm glad that you think it has been beneficial. It's beneficial for us. It's good to hear your voices and to remember that our perspective sometimes gets weighed down and bogged down, and listening to fresh and young voices is something we need to do. So it's been a good thing both ways.
Yeah, because sometimes I know, like, us being students, we don't always feel like our opinions are 100% being heard. And just for us to be able to bring what we hear at school and the different things that, like, people think about, like, in our age group, and then be able to, bring them to the city, like, really helps. So
yeah, and our youth is so like uneducated in terms of like what's happening in government, because all we see is like the effects of government. Like, oh, there's a new roundabout there, there's a new street over there, but like if like actually seeing like how that process is debated upon, how like finances are debated, all this stuff, that was a really endearing experience for me.
So you may have just tapped into one of the key things about this program. That isn't true of just students. That's true across the board. So what you take from this program and become an adult in your own community is that very thing. You will know that just because something happened over here, it wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. There were lots of things that went into that. So it's always good to approach a project or an issue by saying, here's what I think I know, what don't I know, And that's the kind of education that you're getting, and I think that is invaluable. I talk a lot.
You're our guest of honor today.
Yeah, talk as much as you want.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on with us today.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
been a
thank you.
pleasure. Been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Make sure you tune into the next episode of Our Town, Our Take.